probably a good idea. So when they talk about rolling up your sleeves to go to work, you took that literally, didn't you?
All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The June 26, 2025 meeting of the Medford Planning Commission will now come to order. Kaylee, can we have a roll call, please?
Rachel Bennett.
Here.
Brad Bennington.
Here.
Larry Busco. David Culbertson.
Here.
Mark McKechnie.
Here.
EJ McManus.
Here.
Jared Pulver.
Here.
Jeff Thomas.
Here.
And Jim Wallen.
Here.
Roll has been taken.
Thank you, and we have a quorum. Tonight's agenda is available on the city's website for those watching from home. The order of business this evening will consist of consent calendar and written communications, minutes, public hearings, and reports. Item 20 is the consent calendar and written communications. Have the commissioners reviewed the consent calendar and written communication items? And if so, are there any questions? Yeah, are you?
No.
Oh. Okay. If not, then let's have a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to adopt the consent calendar and written communications as submitted.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. This is a roll call vote. Kaylee, can we have a roll call, please?
Mark McKechnie,
Yes.
Rachel Bennett,
Yes.
David Culbertson,
Yes.
EJ McManus,
Yes.
Jared Pulver,
Yes.
Jeff Thomas,
Yes.
Brad Bennington,
Yep.
and Jim Wallen.
Yes.
We have 8 yeses.
Thank you. Motion passes. Item 30 is the minutes. Have commissioners reviewed the minutes from the Planning Commission meeting of June 12th, 2025? And if so, are there any additions or corrections to be noted? Okay, seeing none, the minutes will stand as presented. Item 40 is oral requests and communications from the audience. This is an opportunity for members of the audience to address the commission on matters that are not on tonight's agenda. If you wish to speak, please come forward to the podium, sign in, and tell us your name and your concern. All right, seeing nobody come forward, we will move on to public hearings. Tonight's public hearing will be conducted as a quasi-judicial hearing. If you plan to testify, please listen carefully to the following prepared statement regarding the procedural rules that govern these hearings. The statement will be read by Mr. Alan Moreland, Deputy City Attorney.
I'm going to explain the rules that govern these hearings. Before the hearing begins, city staff will give a report. The report will list the criteria that govern the city's decision. After the staff report, the hearing will be opened for other speakers. The applicant will speak first and may ask for rebuttal time. Following the applicant, any other interested person will be allowed to speak. Any testimony, argument, or evidence you give must relate to the criteria listed in the staff report or other criteria in the comprehensive plan or land use regulations that you believe apply to the decision. If you fail to raise an issue or do not give the commission sufficient information so that the commission and any party can respond, you will not be able to appeal that issue to the Land Use Board of Appeals. If you do not raise constitutional or other issues about any proposed condition with specificity so that the commission can respond to that issue, you will not be able to bring a court action for damages. Before the hearing is closed, anyone who needs more time to present evidence may ask for more time. If you ask, the hearing will be continued or the record will be kept open and you will have at least 7 days to present additional written evidence.
Thank you, Mr. Moreland. In order to proceed through this evening's agenda in a timely manner, except at the Commission's request, applicants giving testimony will be given 10 minutes to present their application. Individuals who have comments about these applications will be given 3 minutes, or 5 minutes if they are representing a group or organization. And 5 minutes will be given to the applicant for rebuttal. Item 50.1, PD 25-115, LDS 25-114. Consideration of a minor revision to the Ponderosa Place subdivision, tentative plat, to allow Thinleaf Street to be constructed as a half street and change the segment of Thinleaf Street north of Bristlecone from a minor residential street to a residential lane. Also, a planned unit development is proposed to include the multifamily residential portion. Ponderosa Place is a 170-lot residential subdivision on approximately 49.2 acres within the Chilson Rise MD3A urbanization planning area. The subject properties are generally located south of Coker Butte Road, north of Owen Drive, and east of the Honolulu Lane terminus, within the SFR4, SFR6, and MFR 15 zoning districts. The applicant is Hayden Homes, LLC. The agent is CSA Planning Limited. The planner is Stefan Roenfeld. The applicant requests to continue this project to the July 24th, 2025 Planning Commission meeting. If there's anyone in the audience that has come to testify on this agenda item, please come forward and the Planning Commission will hear your testimony at this time. Please keep in mind, however, your questions may be answered at the July 24th, 2025 meeting. There will be no decisions made this evening on this agenda item. With that said, is there anyone that wishes to come forward?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
would you please call for ex parte and challenges?
Oh, certainly. Okay, so, yes. Okay, so given that, do we have any commissioners with a conflict of interest or ex parte contact to disclose regarding this application? Okay, seeing none. Does anyone in attendance wish to question the commission as to conflicts of interest or ex parte contacts? Well, that means you don't believe that we have nothing to say about this, so. Okay, now, we're ready to hear your comments on this application. I'm sorry, what? Yeah, please come to the microphone so we can all hear.
My name's Charles Hayden. What else do I need to tell you?
I'm sorry?
My name's
Oh, name and
Charles.
address, and then make sure that you sign in at the end. And you're here specifically to talk about these two applications, correct?
Is this the application for the development in the Roxanne Winery area?
Nope.
Sorry. Okay. So,
It's the next one, hang tight.
Okay. Then, I got to make sure we're in the right spot here. Okay. Then I'm looking for a motion to continue this application to the July 24th, 2025 meeting.
Mr. Chair, I move to continue PUD-25-115 and LDS-25-114 to the July 24th, 2025 Planning Commission meeting.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Kaylee, can we have a roll call, please?
Jim Wallen,
Yes.
EJ McManus,
Yes.
Jared Pulver,
Yes.
Mark McKechnie,
Yes.
Rachel Bennett,
Yes.
Brad Bennington,
Yes.
David Culbertson,
Yes.
and Jeff Thomas.
yes.
We have 8 yeses.
Thank you, and the motion passes. Okay, agenda item 50.2, LDS 25-130 and ZC 25-131. Consideration of a request for tentative plat approval for a 51-lot residential subdivision. The site consists of one parcel totaling approximately 53.06 acres, together with a zone change request to remove the EA overlay from the development area. The site is located north of Hillcrest Road and east of Hidden Valley Court and Hemlock Drive and is zoned SFR2 and SFR6. The applicant is Cogswell Limited Partnership. The agent is CSA Planning Limited. The planner is Stefan Rohnfeld. The applicant requests to continue this project to the July 10th, 2025 Planning Commission meeting. If there's anyone in the audience that has come to testify on this agenda item and cannot make the July 10th meeting, please come forward and the Planning Commission will hear your testimony at this time. Please keep in mind, however, that your questions may be answered at the July 10th, 2025 meeting. There will be no decisions made this evening on this agenda item. Oh, huh? I will, yeah. So with that said, does any commissioner have a conflict of interest or ex parte contact to disclose regarding this application? Okay, seeing none, does anyone in attendance wish to question the commission as to conflicts of interest or ex parte contacts? Okay, now we're ready to listen to anybody that's come to testify on this particular item tonight.
Mr. Chair, would you open the hearing, please?
Oh, okay. There. All right, so, okay, so I opened the public hearing, and now we're happy to hear the testimony.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you. My name is Charlie Hayden. I live at 4126 Tamarack Drive. Just too quick, I have 3 minutes, is that right? I just ask that you please talk to the developer and developer's representative or have staff do it to see whether they would consider putting some of this exclusive agricultural land in a land trust, a 501c3 land trust, and that would be a way for them to reap some economic development, some economic benefits as well as development. So I just ask that staff and the owner at least discuss that. Second, I sent a letter to you, but if I could read it, please. I live near the intersection of Tamarack Drive and Annette's Way. If we need to evacuate our home to avoid emergencies, such as wildfires, we and over 100 families in our neighborhood will have only one evacuation route, Tamarack Drive, leading to the evacuation route, McAndrews Road. I am a survivor of the Camp Fire that destroyed most buildings in Paradise. I have firsthand knowledge and secondhand knowledge from neighbors and other residents of the area of the difficulties people have escaping areas they occupy as fire approached and arrived at Paradise on November 8th, 2018. Please accept my request that the city requires, as a condition of approval of any development land contiguous to the west end of Hidden Valley Court, I'm asking that these conditions be applied. First, construct an all-weather emergency vehicle egress access road connecting West Hidden Valley Court with Hillcrest Road. Second condition I'm asking this commission impose. This all-weather road is constructed with features to accommodate the following. Pickup truck pulling a trailer by people who may be evacuating their homes in the area that is located east of the west end of Hidden Valley Court during emergencies such as wildfires. Also ask that this access road would be constructed so the emergency vehicles that may need egress into this neighborhood where I live to the area east or and west end of Hidden Valley Court during emergencies. So it's constructed for people to get out and the fire department to get in. Timing, I'm asking that the Planning Commission require that this all-weather road be constructed before anything else is constructed within the boundaries of this area. There was a condition the Planning Commission applied to connect Merlot Court with Hemlock, but the condition was that this bridge over the creek as a way to get out of our subdivision, connecting Hemlock with Merlot, was is my time up?
Keep going if you're close
Well,
to the end.
that condition was imposed on a later phase of development, which was commercial development within this subdivision. So that's why I'm asking you to apply this condition early, that road be constructed before anything else. I'm also asking that you make this all-weather road, even though it may be across private property, that the owner allows public access to this all-weather road whenever any level of an evacuation order is issued. And next, that there be no barriers that require the use of tools or keys to remove, such as keys and locks or bowlers that are stuck in place. And if the owner wishes to push a no trespassing sign, at least some verbiage is added that the words no trespassing except when evacuation orders of any level apply to the area east of the west end of Hidden Valley Court. And I'm asking, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Now, I assume we need a motion to continue the hearing?
That's correct, unless there's anybody else that wanted to speak this evening, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Is it? Good evening. Be sure and tell us your name and your
Yeah.
address, and then speak to your concern.
Sure. My name is David Dubovas. I'm at 4096 Hidden Valley Court. We are the last property on Hidden Valley Court before the barrier that's going to be part of the new development. So the prior gentleman's conversation, I had a conversation with Stephen Rosenfeld, and my understanding is that the road will be continuing on Hidden Valley Court onto Hillcrest. So I think that point is clear that there will be a further access. My concern is we are the last property. There is a public access walkway just to the west of our property. There's a property behind us that's adjacent to Hillcrest, and the public access road is a walkway that extends, and there's an easement there. So my concern is, since Hidden Valley Court will be extended, from my understanding, out to Hillcrest, is the public access walkway still going to be there, or because our property extends further than we're allowed to develop because of the easement? So my concern is what is going to happen with that public access walkway, since people can continue on to Hillcrest, going farther onto Hidden Valley Court out to Hillcrest. It seems like it's a redundant pathway. So that's my concern.
Okay, thank you. And you realize, of course, that we have not had a staff report, so your question will be noted, and it may be answered when they have a staff report, when this comes before us as a formal application.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Okay, that'll be noted then with the.
Well, there's no guarantees, but the question has been noted. That's all I can tell you.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Stefan, may I? Okay, is there anybody else that would like to speak on this particular application? All right, seeing none, then I guess we need a motion to continue the hearing.
Mr. Chair, I believe we have one more person that wants to speak.
Well, you have
You gotta
to
come
come
up.
before the,
And if you are able to show up for the July 10th Planning Commission.
here at the microphone, please.
I just want to.
In the front of the
the
microphone.
I
And
don't see
before you
Lola.
start, tell us your
My
name and your
is
address.
Esther DeBovis. I'm David's wife. The only thing is I wanted to add to the question is, if in fact it's a walkway, I guess they call it a hiking trail. If they eliminate that hiking trail, I want to find out if we can actually take our property line to our actual property line, because we have to give up a certain amount of easement at this point. So if we're able to take back our own.
That's an excellent question to ask the planning department after hours, or during business hours, I should
Well, I
say.
think they addressed this to you. I think we already asked that question, and then they told
Okay.
us to appear here.
Then we should have an answer when they make a staff presentation.
Okay, well, I'm not going to be able to be here July 28th.
Okay,
so that's why I'm-
July 10th.
10th.
Or whatever, I know I'm going to be gone in July.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, thank you
That's
so
why you're
much.
here tonight. Thank you. Okay, now, do we have anybody else that wants to speak on this application? Okay, now we're ready for
Okay.
a motion to continue the hearing.
Mr. Chair, I move to continue LDS-25-130 and ZC-25-131 to the July 10th, 2025 Planning Commission meeting.
And noting that the hearing is
The record
open.
is open.
The record is open.
The hearing is open.
Yep. Okay, do we have a second to all that?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Kaylee, can we have a roll call, please?
David Culbertson,
Yes.
Mark McKechnie,
Yes.
Rachel Bennett,
Yes.
Jeff Thomas,
Yes.
Jared Pulver,
Yes.
DJ McManus,
Yes.
Jim Wallen,
Yes.
Brad Bennington.
Yep.
We have 8 yeses.
Okay, thank you. Motion passes. Okay, agenda item 50.3, ZC 25-129, proposal to partially rezone one parcel totaling approximately 24.51 acres from SFR 00 to SFR 10. The parcel is located northeast of the intersection of South Stage Road and Orchard Home Drive. The applicant is KDA Homes LLC, the agent is Scott Center Consulting, and the planner is Stefan Rohnfeld. Does any commissioner have a conflict of interest or ex parte contact to disclose regarding this application? Besides me? Okay, so as everybody is tired of hearing, Mr. Sinner is my next door neighbor, but it's not going to affect my decision in this particular instance. Okay, does anyone in attendance wish to question the commission as to conflicts of interest or ex parte contacts? All right, not seeing any. Finally, Stefan, can we have a staff report?
I thought you moved. Didn't you move a house further down the road or something?
Yeah.
Still next door.
Yeah.
Anyways, Stefan Rumpert with the planning department. Yep, finally got a presentation for you tonight about this zone change, file number 25-129. For the legal requirements for zone changes, they can be found in section 10.204, subsection 2, and then we're also removing the exclusive agricultural overlay for this area, and that section can be found in 10.360, subsection 3. Quick look at the summary. So it's one big parcel, 24.5 acres, located north of South Stage Road, east of Orchard Home Drive, and the zone change is only going to be for partial area of this parcel, so it's only the urban residential clubbed area, but we'll get into this. You should have received one new letter. I did talk to the gentleman yesterday at the counter. Most of his questions are related to, will be answered further down the road, so they'll be tied to the subdivision, and I explained that to him, that we don't know yet what the exact lot layout will be or what type of house will be built or how wide the greenway is going to be. So he understood, but he wanted to submit a letter for the record, which is Exhibit L now. Surrounding side is mostly single-family residential. We got some existing agricultural land to the east, and then everything to the south is still, so across from South State Road is still within the county. The existing club, so there's two separate general land use plan map designations on the parcel. So the light yellow is UR, urban residential, which is what we're trying to rezone tonight, and then the reddish part is commercial club, so that is not part of tonight's zone change. The existing zoning is SFR 00, which is a holding zone that was applied to the property when it was annexed from the county. And then, like I mentioned earlier, we do have an exclusive agricultural overlay on the site, which will also be removed for the SFR 10 part. Quick background, so the parcel is within the MD8 planning unit, which was adopted in 2022 and annexed to the city at the same time. Down below you can see a conceptual layout for the entire MD8 neighborhood, and you can see the green part up to the north is a proposed buffer zone, I guess, and then the light yellow residential, and then the red, again, commercial. So one of the questions I answered yesterday over the counter, how wide is this buffer zone going to be? We don't know yet exactly. There's a certain area that they have to meet for the entire neighborhood. So it's probably going to look something like this, but we'll, again, take a look at this, a closer look at the time of subdivision. So here's the area to be rezoned. It's about 18.8 acres for SFR 10. And again, that little rectangle-ish part in the bottom left will be is not part of this application. For criteria compliance, there's three criterions that needs to be addressed. SFR 10 is a permitted zone in the UR club map designation, so that's fine. Public Works did require a traffic impact analysis. We did receive one, and there were three main issues that were identified in the TIA. One was for the applicant to deposit a certain amount of dollars to a traffic signal at the intersection of Garfield and Kings Highway. The other one was to modify the left turn lane at, I didn't put it down here. I think, sorry? On Lozier Lane, yeah. Stewart, yeah, thank you. And then the last one was to change all of the stop signs at the intersection of South Stage and Columbus Avenue. Locational criteria, we do have one for SFR 10, and it says that the area to be rezoned must be at least 3 acres in size. We got 18 and a half plus for this part, so that criterion has been met. And then facility adequacy, that's sanitary sewer, water, drainage, all that can be achieved with the conditions that are part of Exhibit A. Then Public Works does recommend to add a restricted zoning overlay onto the property that has to do with storm drainage. And there's 2 conditions that have been identified. So we'll add a restricted zoning overlay with the SFR 10 zoning district, which can be removed once those conditions have been addressed. Again, the 3 criteria here summarized. All 3 of them have been addressed and can be met. And that's why it's our recommended action to adopt the findings recommended by staff and direct staff to prepare the final order for approval of the zone change. And that's per the staff report dated June 18th of this year. And that's including exhibits A through L. That's including the new exhibit to add the restricted zoning mapping category to the subject properties and to remove the EA overlay from the parcel. And with that, if you have any questions, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, Stephen, couple questions. So, with the advent of climate-friendly, equitable community, isn't it true that 30% of the city's new development needs to be in the defined climate-friendly area? Is that true?
I'm not a long ranger, and I'm not up to date on that. Maybe Kelly has the numbers in.
Mr. Chair, so I'm Kelly Aiken with your Planning Department. So, Mr. Bennington, as I understand the CFEC rules, we have to have a designated area where we can accommodate 30% of the population, and I believe that the downtown has been designated as that area.
Bingo. So what's contemplated here is going to be an increase in the density. In other words, the 0-0, if you look at the other properties that are platted, this is going to be a higher density.
Right.
This is just more of an informational question for me on how, and I understand that this CFEC thing is we're still figuring it out, but if you're going to say CFEC requires, right, it doesn't advocate, it requires that 30% of your growth be in the defined climate-friendly area. So when you have an outlying area this is not in the defined climate-friendly area, and if you have density improvement, what does that do to the calculation that you already did in the climate-friendly area where 30% of your growth has to happen? What does it do to that?
Should have brought a long ranger with me tonight.
I'll tackle that
or
one.
Kelly.
Okay.
I'll tackle that one too, if I might, Mr. Chair.
Oh.
So the density requirement is a result of the urban growth boundary expansion that happened in 2018, which preceded the CFEC rule. So we're bound by the urbanization plan and the overall RPS density goal of 6.6 units to the acre. So this zoning is as a result of the urbanization, the urban growth boundary expansion process. Does that make sense?
It does, but it doesn't fully answer my, and by the way, if the answer is we don't know yet, that's an acceptable answer to me.
That is a good answer for CFEC. That seems to be.
Because this CFEC thing wasn't done by law, it was done by executive order and.
Right, and we sued over that.
We know what happened. Okay, so the answer to my question may be we need to continue that a little bit. The other thing is when we have these other properties that are, I mean, just looking at the graphical representation of the plats, you've got more generous size, the old traditional detached single family. If you increase the density, you're also going to, and they've contemplated with the signaling, you're going to increase the density of the traffic probably quite a bit on Orchard Home Drive, that section between Orchard Home, where it comes from South Stage, that's gonna get, right now, that doesn't have curbs, sidewalk, anything. I mean, there really isn't even room for somebody to walk along that. So is that road getting completely rebuilt all the way north to allow for the higher density traffic that's gonna happen?
Let me take a quick peek at the Public Works report.
Because right now, if somebody is walking along that road, all there is just a ditch on both sides, and they can't, the cars have to go into the middle to miss them.
Yeah, so our typical standards are for the development to improve their frontage, so usually it's a half plus 12. So you would get 2 full travel lanes, curb gutter, sidewalk, planter strip along, it would be along the east side of Orchard Home along the project frontage as it develops out.
Yeah, and it's gonna have to be done probably all the way back to Stewart, because Stewart is the arterial that feeds that. Okay, thank you, Stefan.
Okay, any other questions? Now I think the question I have is maybe a softball question, but on your...
Is it CFAC related?
On the conditions, yeah, it's on the conditions. So the bottom one about changing out the stop signs, can you, Doug, do you want to softball that one? I'm not understanding the condition. And if I don't understand it, how can the applicant understand it?
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. I'm Doug Burrows with your, I don't know, where do I work? Public Works Department, Engineering, I almost said Planning Department. Yes, that's what it says, Mark. They're going to replace the 3x3 signs with 4-foot by 4-foot signs, including some retro reflective tape to the mounting posts, which will be awful fun to do.
Oh, so they're upgrading the sign
Yeah, they're making
itself.
it bigger, more
Bigger
visible.
sign so you can see it from further.
Yeah, and I
away.
think
All right.
the TIA summary said something about there's been actually some accidents there, probably more than any of the other intersections they looked at. It's on, I don't know what page in the packet it is, 83. It talks about that under the Jackson County stuff. So that's all they're doing, is just upgrading the stop signs
All
there
right.
so they're more visible. So
Okay. Well,
apparently
thank
that
you.
will probably make a difference. All right, bigger signs, more visible. Hopefully people will see them.
Stop
I
further
think people
away.
cruise down South Stage and there's a stop sign there.
And they
you
just
know.
blow right
I think
through
there's
it.
also a flashing red there too. So it's just increasing visibility.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, thank you.
you bet.
All right. Okay, with that, we will open the public hearing and ask the applicant to come forward and talk about the project.
Could we go to, excuse me just a second, I just want the plat that shows the area. Yeah, that'll work. Thank you. Good evening, Commissioners, staff. I'm Scott Sinner Consulting, Inc., 4401 San Juan Drive, Suite G. I've been involved in this project for about 6 years now. This is part of the urban growth boundary expansion area. We have density requirements that must be met according to the RPS process. And the 6.6 dwelling units per acre for the low-density urban residential land basically requires us to use the SFR 10 zone only. That's the only zone that we can meet density with. And so that's what we're doing. As far as, we're not in the street improvement business at this point. This is a zone change. We've had a traffic study to address the impacts of what this development would bring. And it has these mitigation measures. We're participating in the when a signal is called for at Kings Highway and Garfield, the city is collecting funds from development in a prorated share to be able to pay for that. My applicant, KDA Homes, has already done that on several projects. So we're addressing traffic. We're looking at the 3 items that were shown to be requiring mitigation in the traffic study, and it's left turn lanes out on Lozier and Stewart, for the north and southbound, and then the high visibility stop signs. There's some evidence that people have been blasting through at Columbus and blasting through at Kings Highway on South Stage. And so the intent is a larger sign that they can see. And then there's one more mitigation. We did that already. I talked about that. As far as the street improvement isn't done at this point. It's done at the land division. And as Kelly said, the code requires developers to pay for half, or to install half plus 12 of their frontage. Orchard Home Drive is a classified street, so it's a collector and arterial classified streets. So anything beyond that is going to be up to the city to install if there's deficiencies. They are theoretically collecting funds to do improvements like that. But this development, at the time of the land division, would be required to do half plus 12 of their frontage of Orchard Home, and then probably all of South Stage. No curb on South Stage. Okay, so all the travel lanes would be improved on South Stage in the future development. But right now what we're talking about is the zone change. We're only zoning this portion of the property. We have the 2 general land use plan map designations, and it was our original intent to separate these 2 properties into the commercial and the residential, because there's 2 types of developments that would go, and we're just separating them. We tried to do a partition, and the reserve acreage code requires these urbanization plan areas to have a minimum of 20 acres in the residential and a minimum of 10 acres in the commercial to do reserve acreage. We didn't meet that, so we're now going through the zone process on this urban residential, and then we'll be filing another application for the commercial. It'll have a new traffic study, it'll have new impacts and new mitigations. With that, we fully understand the storm and restricted zoning, sanitary, all of those conditions we're fine with. We meet the approval criteria, and I'd be requesting your approval. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to give them a go.
Thank you. Do we have any questions?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So Scott, let me say back to you what I think I heard. So the SFR 10 that you're shooting for, you go back to the when this was brought into the UGB 2017-2018 6.6. There is no 6.6, so you're the only one that fits is SFR 10, right?
Correct.
That makes sense. So this is one of those things where I'm looking at this. I'm really familiar, with this area, and so is Commissioner Culbertson. Any access egress to this property is going to have to be off Orchard Home. You're not, because you got Orchard Home right there. They're not going to allow you to have any traffic access off of South Stage. So you've got a relatively small amount on. Just what I hear you anticipating, or that what I think you're anticipating is to comply with this. You're only going to have to do, looks like maybe, 300 feet on Orchard Home Drive that would have to be improved to the half plus 12 standard, and then maybe some improvements on South Stage, and that's what you're thinking will meet the standard that would be applicable.
Right.
And the problem I have with that is the practicality of it. It just doesn't fly on this one, because all this other land that goes north from this intersection north back to Stewart is already developed, and it's not going to change. They're just pretty much 3 and 2, 3-bedroom, 2-bed. There's a few smaller homes, but I think there's a contractor guy that's across the street from your property, and he's doing something over there. But most of this other property is pretty much just gonna be what it is. This is going to be, you know, going from, I think it's just grass hay. It looks like there's just grass hay, and then there's like one house there, I think, which is probably the anchor for the property. So there's the one house there, and then the rest of it is just, they used to just grow grass hay on. So you go ahead and you go up to, you know, 10 twin dwellings per acre, you're gonna have a significant impact in traffic that's gonna affect a heck of a lot more than just that little stretch. And I understand what you're saying. And I heard what you said. You said, we're not in the traffic improvement business. We're just trying to make this little piece of property work. So this is me saying, I hear what you said, but the practical side of this is, if you add this density, it's a significant amount of density for this piece of real estate, it's gonna have an impact on that road all the way back to Stewart, and you really can't ignore it. And it's, now, but it doesn't go all the way back, because they've improved the road back to where Housing Authority of Jackson County just had a Detroit put in that new apartment complex there. So all the road is good for there, so you don't have to go all the way back to Stewart. But somebody is gonna have to pick it up from wherever that improvement ends all the way to South Stage. Because again, right now, you can't even, a mom with her kid on a bicycle can't even go along that because of the cars. It's one of those old narrow roads. So this isn't me saying, I've got the answers, or this is a bad idea. I'm just saying, this is a really significant problem that somebody's gonna have to address, and they're gonna have to fix it. They're gonna have a remedy for this before you get too far down the road.
Let me address a couple of things. First of all, we did a traffic study that was far-reaching. Our mitigation that is required is Stewart and Lozier. It's nowhere near the site. Garfield and Columbus, these are Garfield and Kings, sorry. So these were considered deficiencies that this project would create or add to. And this was the resolution, where the signal at Kings and Garfield is not warranted at this time. But the city knows it, the developer knows it, and so what the city is doing is, based on the impact that a project is going to create, they are putting in a pro rata share. We're doing 5% on this. We'll have 5 to 10% on the commercial portion when we do that. Our projects over on Kings Highway have participated at probably 10 to 15%, I believe. So these developments that are in the outlying areas are doing things to address the whole transportation system. The city of Medford has a transportation system plan, and they have tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 projects that are identified as tier 1 being the highest priority, and that discusses funding sources. I don't know what improvements are in tier 1 for Orchard Home, but it has been reviewed, it has been analyzed in the transportation system plan, and in tier 1 projects they've been paid for, or money has been allocated. But the streets that you're talking about, Orchard Home Drive, is a minor collector, I believe. Is that right, Doug? Major collector or minor collector, regardless, it's a classified street. That means the city has responsibility for improvements on it. They collect systems development charge, SDC fees from development, whether it's a guy adding a garage to a single family house or a developer adding, the density that we're talking about here. They are collecting systems development charges, and those are designated to fund those identified projects. So the city is collecting for it, and it is their responsibility.
I hear you.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. All right.
Minimum and maximum density in SFR 10. We have a maximum density of 10 units per acre that is basically unachievable, because when you get, this is the street pattern that was approved in the urbanization plan, and we have requirements for circulation and connectivity. This plan has a grid system throughout our development. This commission has already approved the Terrell Drive segment of this with a subdivision, and it follows this, and we will be continuing that. But 6.6 units an acre requires the SFR 10 zoning district. We have a maximum of 10 units per acre, and we must achieve a minimum of 6 for the code. But for the regional problem solving RPS process that brought these urbanization plans in, we must achieve 6.6. And that's our zone.
All right, thank you.
With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any other questions?
I'd
Steve?
like to reserve time for rebuttal. And
Okay.
in case I don't get to come up here, I would request your approval. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, with that, is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak regarding this application? Okay, please come forward. Tell us your name and your address, and offer your testimony for consideration by the commission. And make sure that you've signed in afterwards.
Afterwards, yeah. I'll bring this down so you can hear me a little better. I could hardly hear him and the others. My name is Gerald Kurth. I live at 2236 Meals Drive, which is a part of going to be the access into that property. And I'm glad Brad Bennington addressed the flow that's going to happen, because it's going to come right through our area too, because it's the shortcut. Anyway, and we have high concerns about the rezoning to 10. We met with him 2-3 years ago in the field out there, and we all kind of agreed, okay, 6 sounds doable. That's still a pretty tight housing for our area. And to stack it up that way, all of us in that area, in those 3 streets that I'm kind of representing, just addressing to, is Milford, Meals, and Canal, because we're all huddled right there together going into mainly that one section of that they're requesting the SFR 10. So our concerns are there. And of course, Matt Sweeney addressed with the developer, I guess he's with you, yeah, about the greenway. Can that be maintained and kept a greenway, or is it going to be taken away at some point and buildings put right up against our properties on the north end of this? A greenway, a little bit of a easement through there, which the contractor shared with us 3 years ago. We all took a deep breath and said, yeah, because we don't want 2-story homes looking down in our properties because we're single level, which we're not in that zone, but where he's wanting to develop all those big, tall, 100 and some unit, 200 unit apartments. Yeah, I'm seeing them go up, and they're just eyesores to me because I'm in a lower residential area to where we don't want to see that type of development. Anyway, speaking for several of the neighbors in that area that couldn't make it because of other commitments, we're to maintain the SR6. We're in compliance with, but to make it a heavy dense area of 10 per acre, we're in objection to.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jeremy Perry. I reside at 2231 Orchard Home Drive. I'm not sure if this is right. I feel that an SFR 10 zoning, 10 houses per acre, which I believe would equate to pretty small lots. Packing that many people in this community, I think would be detrimental to the dynamic of the community. If it's 18 acres at 10 houses per acre, let's just say, I know that they won't get that many in there, but 180 residences. Orchard Home Drive, as you mentioned, I live right on Orchard Home Drive. It is scary. I've had multiple animals killed out there. Don't like my kids riding their bikes because it's dangerous. They have to walk to the end of the property to cross the street to be able to go ride in the other communities. Having that much additional traffic, which would come through Orchard Home as like the arterial road into those communities, would be detrimental. I feel that it would bring down the quality of the community, and don't necessarily think that it would be a great idea. I think the other concerns, as well as leaving the greenway, commercial, I think a lot of times in this area gets high-density residential, turned into high-density residential. So probably apartments, leaving large spaces like that with high-density residential apartments, community, excess of community. Sometimes apartments bring drug dealers, stuff like that. Community people follow them. Having that much vacant land would be, I think, a zone for homeless, stuff like that, which I don't think is great. I think that if it would be possible for the people who live adjacent to that greenway to potentially purchase the property or have rights to purchase the property, first rights, to manage and take care of it, would be somewhat okay, but I still think 10 houses per acre is ridiculous. And that's my opinion.
Okay, thank you. Make sure you've signed in. Okay, is there anybody else that wants to speak in this application? All right. Seeing none, are we looking for rebuttal?
I'm going to get this up so you can hear me now. Again, I'm Scott Center Consulting, representing the applicant. We've got mandates here that were approved with the RPS process, approved by both the City Council, Planning Commission, City Council, Jackson County Commissioners. The goal of the RPS process is, where are we going to put twice as many people in this valley? And that comes with increasing density. This planning unit has a minimum density requirement of 6.6 units per acre. It also had a conflicting requirement for 29% open space. And with this urbanization plan, that green area is what was proposed for open space. That could be subject to change through further development. The first project that we worked on Terrell, it maintained that open space buffer up at the top. It's the low part, it's buffering the properties, and it helps with services. That will be the responsibility of an HOA, homeowners association, and that'll be perpetual maintenance and care and ownership. So with that, I would request your approval.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Yeah. So Scott, on the density, so you've helped us understand that the zoning that's available is 10 units per acre. There is no zoning for 6.6. You got to go 10. And then you also said that you believe that it's the applicant's plan not to do all of it in 10 units per acre, but it's going to be a mix. Is that right? It
is very, very difficult to achieve 10 units per acre.
It's physically hard to do it.
Physically hard to do.
Yeah.
By the time, there's probably 20% to 30% of the property is roads.
So just a little bit east of your applicant's property on, just off Kings Highway, on the south end of Kings Highway, just before it gets to South Stage, there's a development that's been under construction for the last couple of years. And is that the kind of product that the applicant, I mean, are we talking two and 3 story high density multifamily, or do we know what that looks like yet?
That was originally approved for 2-story, 2-unit dwellings, attached, single-family attached units. Maximum building height in the zone is 35, and most of those things are the building height measurement is top of plate, and most of those dwellings in there are like 19 to 21 foot top of plate, and then the roof goes on top of that. That's the way the city does it. It is, yeah, it's dense urban development.
So it's that type of product. Well, I know, and well, this was a question that was raised by Mr. Sweeney in his letter, you know, the type of product. And it's not that I expect you to know this, I'm just asking if you do. Is the type of product that the applicant intends to build, are they going to be rentals, or are they going to be sold as homes that can be owned by young? In other words, it's obviously
Juniors and seniors would be the appropriate, first timers and empty nesters.
So people actually be able to buy these.
Yeah. Yes, all of these. The SFR, Single Family Residential Zoning District, is calling for a single tax lot under a single dwelling unit. You can have attached dwelling units, but fee ownership is absolutely possible. I don't know what the eventual developers will do, if they're going to rent them out, hold them, sell them, or what. But all of them will be available for fee simple ownership.
Mr. Chair, point of order.
Yeah.
This is a zone change application.
That's irrelevant.
Yeah, well, kind of.
No,
No.
no,
This is
not
a
kind
zone
of,
change
for sure.
application.
Yeah. So
We're far afield.
thank you. If you have another question about the zoning rather than how the specific property is developed, you can continue, but otherwise, if it speaks to specific products, that's irrelevant in a zone change.
Okay, thank you, Mr.
So
Chairman.
we'd like to move on.
And Mr. Chair, a subsequent application will actually have the platting, the usage, and everything else, including roads
And
and improvements.
And for the people that have testified, there will be more opportunities, at least one, and, potentially 2. So there are other opportunities, and we would urge them to discuss with us.
Thank you.
And request your approval. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any additional comments from planning? Engineering, any additional comments? Legal have anything to add? No. Okay, with that, then we will close the public hearing. And do we have a motion for consideration?
Mr. Chair, I move to adopt the findings as recommended by staff and direct staff to prepare a final order for approval of ZC-25-129 per the staff report dated June 18th, 2025, including Exhibits A through L, as well as the restrictive zoning administrative mapping category shall be applied to the subject properties and shall only be removed as provided in MLDC 10.204 sub 3 and the removal of the EA overlay.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, do we have any further discussion on this item?
Mr. Chairman, I understand that the applicant has done his due diligence. He's obviously done a good job of following the rules. This is a piece of property, or this is an application where I don't think you can reasonably separate the traffic part of it as even though they've met the standard or possibly met the standard as it's being applied. This transportation part with Orchard Home is a really critical piece, and I would like to see some way to make sure that gets addressed better than just, well, we've met the minimum standard and let the city figure the rest of it out. I just don't think that works in this case.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Okay, Kaylee, can we have a roll call, please?
Rachel Bennett,
Yes.
Jeff Thomas,
Yes. Yes.
Jared Pulver,
Yes.
EJ McManus,
Yes.
Jim Wallen,
Yes.
Brad Bennington,
Reluctantly, no.
David Culbertson,
Yes.
Mark McKechnie.
Yes.
We have 7 yeses and 1 no.
Thank you. Motion passes. Good luck with your project. And that concludes tonight's public hearings. So moving on to item 60, reports. Transportation Commission. Mr. Pulver.
Our meeting yesterday got canceled, so we haven't met for a little while.
Okay, Site Plan and Architectural Commission, Mr. Thomas.
We did not have a meeting since our last meeting here.
Planning Department, Ms. Aiken.
All right, well, good evening, Commissioners. I am Kelly Aiken. A few things for you. A quick update on the Downtown 2040 plan that's moving along. We received, I think last week, we have another draft that's currently under review, so that'll be coming before you before too horribly long. And they've also been working on the boundary of that, the downtown area. Study session a couple weeks away, July 14th, we're going to be talking about the economic opportunity analysis that we also got a final draft of last week. Business, we have business for your next 3 meetings, so that's July the 10th and the 24th, and then August 14. No rest for you this summer. Council last week, the City Council approved the Housing Opportunity Fund funding recommendation and reauthorized our ADU SDC program. And they also adopted the park strategic plan into the comprehensive plan as you had recommended to them. Coming up next week at City Council, it is all street vacations all the time. We actually have 3 of them on the agenda next week. One is the Yamsey Drive vacation that you recommended, and then we have 2 new ones coming up to initiate. So those will be coming before you. I think that's about all that I have. One other thing that I did want to note for you today was our Public Works Director, John Vile, is retiring out, and this is his last week with us as a regular staff member. He served the city for just under 5 years, but he's been quite a notable figure in transportation in the valley for many, many moons. So I just wanted to recognize him. And that's all that I have, unless you have questions.
Thank you. Any questions of staff?
All right, thank you.
None. Messages and papers from the chair, nothing from me. Remarks from the city attorney.
No remarks?
Propositions and remarks from commission members. Yes, sir.
And I hate to make the meeting longer, so I apologize for this, but one of the things that I didn't want to bring it up during what we were trying to approve, which was the zone change, and 100% right, it was a zone change. But one of the things I'm going to be a hard no on, unless we can figure out how to adjust it, is that what has been happening is with the RPS process, which was a disaster, we all know that, how it came to be, is now that we're going to do commercial, we've seen too many times where it's not really going to ever be commercial. It's always going to be high-density homes next to high-density homes, which is fine, but I don't think we should be approving things as commercial, as zone changes, and then because of our own code that we did recently, the city council and the city changing, well, you could take commercial and you can build high-density homes there. I think that it should be zoned that way. The public should know that that's what's going to happen versus basically, oh, we got this zoned a certain way for housing and we're going to do commercial, and that's never really what's going to happen. So I just think those are things that the city should be thinking about if we're going to be transparent with our partners, which are the community, the people that live in the city.
Okay, thank you. Yes, please.
I think it's really important. Thank you, Commissioner Thomas. I think it's really important as we're moving through and reviewing the economic opportunities analysis. That's exactly what that document does, is identifies the need that we have for commercial industrial lands in the city of Medford. So please, as we move through that, it's coming to a study session near you very soon. So please be sure to pay attention to the document and there should be some policies in there around this issue, and I would assume some follow-up code changes depending on what the analysis reveals. So just so you know, that's part of that document, and it's important that we pay attention to that. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments from anybody? Huh? Oh, yes. Sorry.
I just briefly want to flag, because I don't think we hear from these voices very often at these meetings, that we do still need high-density housing. We do still need rental properties and multifamily housing in our valley. But they're not often the ones getting the mail notices. I imagine they go to the property owner, and they may not always be so inclined to show up. I think it's important to push back on feedback that we're getting with concerns about multifamily developments. Not that that was even on our agenda for this evening, but it also seems to bring with it a lot of comments about the undesirable types that multifamily residential attracts. And I think that's unjust and needs to be noted on the record that that is not substantiated by any documentation we've been presented with. And that's all.
Thank you. Okay. If no other comments, then we are adjourned.
So my thought was, is that those people